B-Movie Madness. The movie I'm going to review today, is a brand new release from SOVhorror.com. And in this one, I'm really excited to talk about. And it is the one, the only, the legendary Writer's Block, Truth or Dare, Part 2. Now, I'll have a better view of the cover up front. Now, I know what you're thinking to yourself. You're like, isn't Wicked Games the second Truth or Dare movie? And you are correct. And I feel it's very important before I dive into the review of this movie to talk about the little bit of the history behind this movie. There was a company called Dead Alive Productions who was a distributor. They end up putting out a few of Tim Ritter's movies, including Wicked Games. One day they called him up and they were brutally honest to him. They said, your movies suck, but they sell really well. Can you make a Truth or Dare Part 2? And Tim, of course, goes, I already made a Truth or Dare Part 2. Wicked Games, you're selling it. No, and we're talking about another Truth or Dare Part 2. He goes, I can give you ideas for Truth or Dare Part 3. And eventually this went back and forth, until he's like, okay, I will make your Truth or Dare. I'll write up some ideas for your Truth or Dare Part 2 and send it to you. And he ended up sending his outlines of some ideas. And they end up going back and forth, negotiating a budget for the movie. And eventually he stopped hearing from them, and they stopped answering his phone calls. The next thing he knows, this movie's in production, using their own ideas. So what we have here is an unofficial sequel to Truth or Dare. Now, what is this particular Truth or Dare movie about? Well, I will tell you that. It is about Jack Grady's latest novel, The Woodcutter, is a total scream with the fans. Unfortunately, when it's time to write his next masterpiece, he gets a bad case of writer's block. But his luck changes when he finds a mysterious journal written by a psychopathic teenager obsessed with the game Truth or Dare. It's just a book, right? Well, Elliot doesn't think so. Now it's time for the ultimate payback. Because when you play Truth or Dare with Elliot, you always lose. Now, before I get into my review, what is the connection between this movie and the Tim Ritter Truth or Dare movies? And honestly, very little. The main thing they have in common is the fact that they're both about the game Truth or Dare. And the other thing is this movie actually uses footage from Wicked Games in the beginning of it. So, and that's about it. There's nothing about Mike Strauber. There's nothing about the Copper Mask Madman. This is its completely own movie. I think the best way to describe this movie is it's the Halloween 3 of the Truth or Dare franchise. And I think that's the perfect description for it. Because it's just taking the concept of Truth or Dare, the game, and just telling its own story. Kind of like Halloween 3 did with the holiday, Halloween. But yeah, this is one I've been wanting to see for a while. The funny thing about it is I didn't know it existed until about a few years ago when Richard Mogg's book Analog Nightmares came out. And if you have not read that book, if you're an SOV fan, you need this book in your life. But he talked about that book he talked about this movie in that book. And I was like, what, this exists? And I had planned on downloading it because at the time the VHS was out of print. It was hard to find. But eventually I just forgot about it until Tony mentioned he was releasing it. And I was like, thank God, I can finally watch this movie. Because I'm going to be honest with you, I was really thrown off about this movie because I end up highly, highly enjoying it. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it or not. I will say one thing is the story sounded really interesting. And I was hoping that it would be well executed story-wise, because when you have you can have a really good story and just completely fuck it up, with poor execution. But this movie has an absolutely incredible storyline that's very, very well executed. I found myself completely engaged with the storyline. In fact, I'm the kind of person that when I watch a movie, I have trouble putting my phone down, and I'm trying to stop doing that. But with this movie, I didn't pick my phone up once. Not one time. And I was really, shocked by that. And also, there's one point in the movie I was kind of curious how long in the movie was I. I figured I was about 25 minutes in the movie. And I was actually over 40 minutes at that point. So this story is not only engaging, it moves actually pretty fast for a 95-minute movie. It runs really fast. And I found myself just completely, focused on the movie, just watching it, interested in seeing what direction it was going to end up taking. constantly. And I was like, holy crap, I was not expecting this. I was just expecting, to be honest, I was expecting just a knockoff of Tim Ritter's Truth or Dare movies. But no, this is just not only its own thing, but it's actually it's a legitimately good movie that was shot on video. And it's a shame that some people probably want to give it a chance because of the video look, because it is actually a really great movie. And the other thing that completely surprised me is the acting in the movie. I don't think anybody in the movie gave a particularly bad performance. And in case of two people, one person in particular, they gave amazing performances. And the person that stands out the most was Jeffrey C. Hawkins as Elliot, the deranged teenager obsessed with Truth or Dare. He was amazing. He did this great balance of crazy, scary, crazy, and fun. And this is the kind of performance that, in the hands of a lesser actor, it could go completely over the top to the point where it's laughable. But he actually balances it really well, and he's just so good in this movie that, honestly, I think his performance is one of the best I've seen in a shot-on-video movie. He really, really, really does an incredible job. But the other person I want to mention, and I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, is Joey Mishidish, who plays the lead character, Jack Grady, who plagiarizes Elliot's novel. His performance is really interesting because as the story escalates throughout it, especially in the third act of the movie, his performance gets better and better. Yeah, the best part being his performance in the third act, where everything just goes fucking insane. He just does a really just incredible job of that as well. But I have to just mention Jeffrey C. Hawkins again. He just really blew me away. Between him and the story, I was just like, holy crap, this movie is legitimately really fucking good. And I was not expecting that. But if you're wondering about the body count, now with this movie, the big difference between this and the other Truth or Dare Part 2, Wicked Games, is Wicked Games is much more of a sleazy slasher movie, while this movie is much more of a horror thriller. It's not really focused on the body count. It's focused on the story and its characters. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a body count, because it does have a body count. And the movie is surprisingly very brutal and violent. It's not super, super gory, but it's really brutal and violent. You get like railroad spikes hammered into wrist. You get some stabbings, a throat slit, and my favorite kill, which I won't completely spoil, involves a block of ice. That one was really well executed. In fact, I think the makeup effects for all the kills were actually really well done. Like I said before, this movie is just a surprisingly good movie. Just happened to be shot on video. And I gotta give kudos to not only Chris LaMont, who directed it, but the Dead Alive Productions for, they could have easily just ripped off Tim Ritter's movies and then called it a day. But they actually just came up with their own ideas with this movie and just made the best movie they could with the money they had. And they truly made the best movie they could. Because like I said, this is, it's a shame that some people can't get over the video look, because I think they're really missing out. I think I would actually put this on my list of the top 5, or maybe top 10. I'm going to say top 5 best SOVs I've ever seen, especially quality-wise. This is really good. It might be not as entertaining as something like Video Violence or Redneck Zombies, but it's a legitimately good horror thriller with great performances, an engaging storyline, and some solid kills with some really good makeup effects. So yeah, if you're a Truth or Dare fan, I absolutely 100% recommend this. If you are just a casual SOV fan, I still recommend this, because I think a lot of people are going to be surprised how good this movie is. There's probably going to be some people who won't like it as much because it's not, the Tim Ritter Truth or Dare, which I'm glad it wasn't, because I got those movies. I wanted something different. But I think there's going to be some people who are legitimately surprised how well executed this film is. So yes, I highly recommend this both to Truth or Dare fans and casual SOV fans. And that is the truth. So I dare you, I double dog dare you, I triple dog dare you, buy this movie. As for the special features, we got audio commentary with director Chris LaMont. This is a very detailed, informative track. It's also a very honest one. He flat out says he's not a fan of horror movies. He's not a fan of excessive gore. But I found it a very informative track, and you could tell that he was trying everything he could to make the best movie possible. In fact, he ended up not getting a paycheck for this movie because he went over budget. and he was more happy that the other people on the crew and all that got paid because they did good work. And that's a really good, just an awesome thing to hear. So I gotta give props to Chris LaMont. That was a really cool thing. There's an audio interview with Truth or Dare director Tim Ritter. Now this is a 20-minute audio interview. A lot of the information I said earlier is in this track. So I'll try not to repeat myself, but I will give it. I do recommend giving it a listen. What's really cool is it was actually liked this movie. He did no bad blood between him and the people involved. He thought this movie was pretty cool, so that's awesome to hear. There's also a new director's cut version of this movie, and what it is, it's been converted in black and white, and I think it's been cropped to widescreen. I didn't watch the whole thing. I kind of skimmed through it, but it's a cool little extra. You know, I recommend just watching the regular version first, but then go and watching this. There's also the re-release trailer. And there's also the SOVHorror.com trailer vault, which is on all the releases, and it has a whole bunch of cool trailers. But yeah, to end this review, or not end this review, once again, I highly recommend Writer's Block Truth or Dare 2. This was a legitimately good horror thriller, great performances, solid kills, and an engaging storyline. So, I recommend it. I highly recommend it. If you want to pick up a copy, go to www.sovhorror.com. I'll have a direct link to the store down below. As for my upcoming reviews, I will be heading back to the world of Joe Sherlock in the next weeks. I got plenty of really stuff to review involving his stuff, involving his movies. So look out for those. It's going to be a lot of fun. But comment down below. What is your favorite Truth or Dare movie of the Tim Ritter movies? Or you can include this one if you want. And if you've seen this movie, what did you think about it? Let me know down below. So if you like my channel, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and comment that information. But for now, I've been I'm Jonathan Knight. This has been B Movie Madness. Thanks for watching.